Hey, you've tuned into a place where secrets unravel. The call came at 9:42 p.m., but the yelling hit before I could even greet. "Where's my gift?" That's how it all started. No warm hello, no longing words, not even fake affection, just that shrill scream piercing through my phone, making me clench my jaw. I wasn't lost or late. I was right where I chose to be, alone, sitting in my battered Buick outside an abandoned diner in Tall Pines, gripping a slice of gas station pie, thinking about the last time I felt like a man in my marriage. Darla's birthday, a day treated as holy in her eyes, a day when the universe was supposed to stop and celebrate her existence. But this year, after 9 years, I did something unthinkable. I didn't show up. No flowers, no shiny bags, no glittery card with some generic poem inside. Let me clarify, I didn't skip it lightly. I'm not that guy. Once I drove 6 hours to fetch a specific perfume she'd half-heartedly mentioned in her sleep. Another time, I sold my prized vintage guitar to fund a spa retreat she casually posted about online. And what did I get? One year, she completely forgot mine, didn't glance away from her phone when I walked in. "Oh, is today your birthday?" she mumbled, distracted by texts to someone whose name I still don't know. So, this year, I stayed away. When she called screaming, I responded, not angry, just exhausted. Your present is where your respect for me lies, in the trash. Click. The sound of hanging up felt better than any applause I'd ever received. But that wasn't the end. 5 minutes later, Natalie, Darla's best friend, messaged me. "You'll regret this." No context, no emojis, just those chilling 5 words. Here's the kicker. Natalie wasn't just a friend. She was Darla's enabler, her fixer, her cleaner-upper whenever things got messy. That message? It was a threat. And threats mean someone's hiding something. I began digging, not through her phone, she guarded it like Fort Knox, but through receipts forgotten in her coat pocket, Uber trips logged on our shared tablet, a mysterious charge weeks ago from Midnight Sweets while she claimed to help her aunt move. Then the truth landed hard. My wife wasn't just selfish, she was unfaithful. The woman I'd sacrificed everything for had betrayed me. But trust me, this isn't the whole story. What I discovered next didn't just confirm the betrayal, it destroyed everything. On her birthday, she posted a boomerang, champagne flute in hand. Golden balloons framed her as she blew a kiss to the camera, posing like a lifestyle blogger on a glossy magazine cover. The caption read, "Feeling so loved. Kiss #birthdayqueen." I watched it from my parked car, engine silent, thumb hovering over the screen. No mention of me, though I hadn't expected one. But here's what caught me. I recognized that balcony. I'd been there twice, and both times Darla wasn't with me. First was Emmett's engagement party. Second was worse. 3 weeks ago, I found a receipt in her coat pocket from Midnight Sweets Bakery. Same address. That same day, she claimed she was helping her aunt move into assisted living, a 6-hour ordeal, she said. Yet no pictures, no thanks from the aunt, just Darla returning home exhausted, makeup smeared, clutching her phone like it held secrets. And now, seeing her post from that rooftop bar, the same luxury hotel, it all clicked. This wasn't her celebration, it was his. Someone had brought her there, paid for it, someone who wasn't me. I didn't explode, didn't scream or hurl my phone across the car. That would have made me feel alive again, and I hadn't felt truly alive in years. Instead, I stared at the image like solving a puzzle after months of missing pieces. The fake errands, the sudden gym obsession, the 2 a.m. drives under the guise of insomnia, they aligned perfectly. It wasn't about gifts or gestures. It was control, keeping me tethered while she built another life behind my back. When I got home, she wasn't there. Her perfume lingered faintly, haunting the bedroom like an echo. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the dresser drawer she'd forbidden me to open. Naturally, I opened it. Inside lay a second phone, sleek, expensive, better than mine. No passcode, either arrogance or carelessness. I turned it on. No texts, no call logs, but the photos. She'd forgotten them. There she was, standing before those same golden balloons, but not alone. His arms encircled her waist, lips pressed against her temple. In that moment, she looked happy, unposed, unguarded, comfortable. Not once in 9 years had she ever looked at me like that. That realization shattered me more than the photo itself. I returned the phone to its hiding place, sank onto the couch, and let silence swallow me whole. One thing changed. I wasn't confused anymore. I knew. The only questions left were how far this had gone, and what I planned to do about it. Staring at that picture longer, I studied him. Broad jaw, gleaming teeth, the kind of man who exudes false promises. He wasn't just holding Darla, he was claiming her, as if she were a prize he'd won. And she leaned into him, accepting it. I convinced myself it was outdated, from another time, but the timestamp read 2 nights ago. That same night, she claimed she was stuck at the design studio, overwhelmed with client work, her phone dead from the chaos. I felt guilty for downing her then, but not now. Sleep eluded me that night. The walls seemed to shrink around me as I lay there. Eventually, I wandered downstairs to clear my head and found myself in the kitchen, staring at the sink she swore she'd cleaned days earlier. On a whim, I checked the trash. Who does that? But there it was, a receipt from an upscale jewelry store. 2 items listed, a silver charm bracelet and something else. My stomach dropped when I saw it. A platinum men's ring, size 11. I wear a 9. She hadn't received jewelry from me since our 6th anniversary, claiming I never understood her taste. So who was this for? And why toss the receipt here? I tucked it into an old notebook she never opened and sat on the edge of the bed, the air suffocating. That's when I sent the text. Who's the ring for? No response. 10 minutes later, the front door slammed open. She stood there, eyes blazing, lips curled in disgust. "What were you doing in my drawer?" she demanded. I didn't answer, just held up the receipt. "You plan to throw this out like nothing happened?" She snatched it, crumpled it, and snapped. "It's none of your business." "None of my? I'm your husband," I said. "No, Alton," she shot back, voice icy. "You're a mistake I haven't fixed yet." Her words hit hard, not because they were loud, but because they were so calm, matter-of-fact, like commenting on spoiled food. No guilt, no hesitation, just dismissal. She stormed into the bathroom, slamming the door behind her. The shower roared to life, as if she could wash everything away, including me. I sat back down, realizing what came next wouldn't be a fight. It would be uncovering the truth. Around 3 a.m., the light clicked off. Darla emerged, wrapped in a towel, face unreadable, water dripping onto the carpet. Without a word, she climbed into bed, turned away, and muttered, "You're being ridiculous." Always quick to twist things, making me doubt myself while distracting from her own secrets. But not this time. I waited until her breathing grew steady before moving again. Then I stood up, not out of anger, but because something inside me had changed. I wasn't afraid of her anymore. I wasn't confused. I was resolute. I reached for the second phone in the drawer again. I had about 20 minutes before she usually stirred in her sleep. No texts were saved, but the gallery held a hidden folder. I almost missed it. A folder innocuously labeled Quotes. Inside were screenshots. Most were cropped tight, blurry chats filled with emojis, private jokes, and pet names that made my stomach turn. One message stood out. It was from someone saved as R. "You're not wearing that ring when you're with me, right?" Her reply, "Of course not. I'm not his anymore." That wasn't just betrayal, that was erasure. The date on the message? 2 weeks ago. The same day I gave her money to cover her sister's cat's vet bill. I thought I was being supportive. But then I found something stranger among the screenshots. One image wasn't meant for him. It was meant for someone else entirely. A photo of me, taken from behind in our backyard. Underneath it, a caption, "He still doesn't have a clue. How sad is that?" It wasn't sent, just saved, like a trophy. She had been documenting me, not lovingly, not even mockingly, but coldly. Like I was a ghost, a remnant of a past she wished she hadn't chosen. And yet, she still lived under my roof, ate the meals I prepared. Let me do her laundry, slept in the bed I bought. I should have been furious. I should have screamed, cursed, shattered something. But instead, I stood there, holding the phone, and whispered, "She already left. She just never packed." I closed the gallery, turned off the phone, and placed it back where I found it. I didn't wake her. I didn't say a word. But I did one thing that night, small, quiet, something that would set everything in motion. I removed her from our joint account. The next morning, a scream tore through the house. I was upstairs brushing my teeth when it came, sharp, panicked, undignified. For a moment, I thought she'd dropped something or seen a spider. Then came the second scream. "What did you do?" I didn't rush. I moved slowly, wiping my face, grabbing a clean shirt. She stormed into the hallway before I even reached the stairs, waving her phone like it had betrayed her. "You emptied the account!" she yelled, cheeks flushed, mascara smudged. "I didn't empty it," I said calmly. "I removed myself from it." "Don't play games with me, Alton. Where's the money?" She meant the shared account we used for bills, except she hadn't used it for bills in months. Strange charges had started appearing, boutique stores, out-of-state restaurants, 2 payments to something called executive transport. She once told me it was for her cousin's wedding. She doesn't have a cousin, so no, I didn't clean out the account. Instead, I opened a new one, redirected my paycheck, and settled what I could. She had left me financially vulnerable for too long. "You can't do this," she hissed through clenched teeth. "I have bills." "No," I shot back. "You have secrets." I just stopped enabling them. Her eyes widened as if I'd struck her. Then, without warning, she hurled her coffee mug at the wall behind me. It shattered into pieces, and she screamed, "You're ruining everything!" I didn't flinch. "You already did that," I said softly, catching her off guard. She stood there, chest heaving, searching for words, but coming up empty. With a huff, she spun around, stormed out the door, and sped away like she was fleeing something. For the first time in ages, the silence felt good. But I wasn't finished yet. Later that day, while she was off doing whatever she did when she wasn't pretending to be faithful, I packed a small bag. Not to leave permanently, but to stay nearby. A motel on the outskirts of town seemed fitting, somewhere no one knew me. I needed space, clarity, a place where my thoughts wouldn't ricochet off walls heavy with lies. Before leaving, I left a note on the table. "If you want answers, start with the second phone." No name, no apology. If she wanted to act like I didn't exist, fine. Let her feel what that was really like. The motel air was cold and thin. The silence deafening, buzzing in my ears, as though I'd stepped outside chaos itself. I lay there, fully clothed on scratchy sheets, replaying how she'd react to my note. "If you want answers, start with the second phone." I imagined it perfectly. Her standing in the kitchen, still furious about the missing money, brushing past the note, only to circle back, unable to ignore it. When she opened that drawer, expecting to find her secret safe, she'd find nothing, because I took the phone with me. I didn't turn it on. I didn't need to. I already knew enough. But I wanted her to panic, to unravel. I wanted to see what she'd do when she realized I wasn't blind anymore. At 11:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. 10 missed calls, 5 voicemails, and 1 text. Give it back now. No greeting, no remorse, just a demand laced with entitlement. I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, another text came from an unknown number. If you don't want this to escalate legally, we suggest you return the item. The word "we" hit me like venom. So, she wasn't just unfaithful, she'd called in backup. Him? A lawyer? Someone worse? It didn't matter. One thing was clear, she wasn't playing fair, and neither was I. The second phone contained something far more damaging than I'd anticipated. I couldn't stop there. For the first time since leaving the house, I powered it on. Fully charged, she must have kept it hidden like a burner. I'd already seen the photos, screenshots, and messages from R, but now I delved into the apps. Encrypted chat software, manually sideloaded, no notifications, masked behind a calculator app. So clever, or so she thought. No password protected it. Inside were conversations that went beyond personal. They were financial. Discussions about moving money, concealing assets, even selling my late father's vintage desk. He won't notice, she wrote. He thinks I'm redecorating. Let him believe it. My grip tightened. The plastic creaked. They had drained me, emotionally, financially, materially. And worst of all, she was right. I'd let it happen, swallowing every slight, paying every bill, blaming myself for her disdain. Not anymore. I turned off the phone, zipped it back into my coat pocket, and stared at the motel ceiling as if it held answers meant only for me. It wasn't revenge I sought, it was truth, proof, closure. And now I held all 3 in my hands. What came next would hurt, but I had a plan. That afternoon, I left the motel without checking out. If she wanted to find me, fine, but I wouldn't be waiting. I wasn't running, I was setting the stage. Before returning home, I did what I never imagined I could. I forwarded everything on her secret phone to my email. Screenshots, texts, the gallery, even files in the encrypted folder labeled work. This wasn't blackmail, it was insurance. When someone lies this much, they don't let you walk away unscathed, especially when their web begins to unravel. And then there was one final move. Petty, yes, but brilliant too. The man she'd been texting, planning trips and romantic getaways with, he wasn't single. His social media overflowed with beach selfies alongside his girlfriend, dog pics, gym progress shots. A sweet anniversary post celebrated 6 years together. Through a payment app, I found her number. Careless cheaters always leave traces. So I sent her a message. Just one photo. Darla and her lover on a hotel rooftop. Her hands on his chest, his lips brushing her neck. No signature needed. 3 hours later, Darla's calls flooded my phone. The first message said, "You crossed the line." The second, "You've wrecked it all." And the third, "He's gone. Are you satisfied now?" I wasn't, but regret wasn't an option either. By the time I parked in the driveway, the front door was ajar. She sat on the couch, makeup smeared, hair disheveled, a half-empty wine bottle by her feet. Her gaze hit me like I was the antagonist in a story she didn't know she was living. "You ruined my life!" she spat. "No," I replied, tossing her spare phone onto the coffee table. "You handed me the match. I simply lit it." She didn't cry, scream, or apologize. Just one question. Why didn't you leave without a word? That's when I laughed. Because you don't get to dictate the rules anymore. You're not the ruler here. You're just the reason it fell apart. Then I dropped the truth she never saw coming. I filed last week. The papers are signed. My lawyer has them. And this house, my name's the only one on the deed. You'll be leaving. Her face crumbled. No sharp retort, no fake bravado. Just silence, the weapon she once wielded so well. Now it belonged to me. But it wasn't over yet. There was one last thing I needed to say, something that would make everything clear. She stood in the middle of the living room, trembling, mascara streaked from whatever breakdown she'd had while I was out. Her mouth opened as if ready to launch into another guilt-laden tirade she'd rehearsed endlessly. But I was done being the audience. I held up a small box, plain, unremarkable, wrapped in brown paper. "What's this?" she snapped, arms crossed. "Your gift," I said. She rolled her eyes, but tore it open anyway, maybe thinking I'd beg for reconciliation. What she found stopped her cold. Printed copies of her texts, photos, bank receipts, and beneath them, a single-page notice from my lawyer confirming the finalized paperwork. "No need to pretend confusion anymore," I said. "Everything's out in the open. She looked like she might collapse. You can't do this. I'll fight it. You won't," I cut her off, "because you know I have more than enough. Honestly, I don't care to drag this through court. You wanted freedom? You've got it." She stood there shaking, the air around her unnaturally still. For the first time, she seemed small. Not the loud, overconfident persona she used to control with, but just lost. And I didn't feel sorry. Not anymore. The next morning, she packed her things quietly. No yelling, no manipulation, just bags and silence. When she left, she didn't even say goodbye. And that was fine. That was perfect. A week later, I sat on the back porch sipping a cheap beer, watching sunlight hit the fence she always complained about. I liked it. It was quiet. It was mine. The calm felt unfamiliar at first, as if I anticipated another upheaval, but it never arrived. Day after day, the quiet remained. Surprisingly, it brought peace, not unease. These days, I smile more often, sleep soundly, and no longer obsess over trivial details. Last Sunday, I met someone new at the farmer's market. Her name's Miriam. We spent 20 minutes chatting about sourdough. Where it leads, I don't know, but for the first time, I'm not rushing. I'm just thankful to feel human again. No pretense, no fallback roles, just me. Someone once told me I lacked the strength to take control. Turns out they were wrong. The honesty I offered, the courage to confront the truth, freed me in ways I never expected. What would you do if faced with hidden secrets and betrayal all at once? Share your story of unexpected discovery. Someone might need to hear it. Follow for more raw, relatable tales of heartache and healing.